Kelsey Mitchell is a superstar player on the team. She's been here for the good, the bad, the ugly, and pretty much ever since the team been trash. Now, ever since Caitlin has got to the team, ever since Caitlin has joined the team, the Indiana Fever has grown notoriety across the world. They is the hottest WNBA team in the country and pretty much one of the biggest teams in all of sports. With all of that being said, Kelsey Mitchell has been taking it upon herself to kind of say little things. And
Kelsey Mitchell just got caught saying the quiet part out loud, and WNBA fans are absolutely losing their minds. The Indiana Fever veteran thought she was safe during what seemed like a routine interview, but her words about teammate Caitlin Clark have sparked a firestorm that's tearing through basketball social media faster than you can say playoffs. Here's what went down. Mitchell was asked about her team rallying cry during a press conference.
Kelsey, one of your teammates said yesterday that you started saying in the huddles, we're all we got, we all we need.
Yeah, I said we all we got, we all we need, yeah.
How did that kind of come about? And do you remember when you started sharing that message?
Probably, it might have been after somebody got hurt. I won't even lie to you. It was early on. I think it was when CC got hurt, and I felt like it was deflating. It was hard for people to kind of see us and see our energy for what we brought to the table as a team. Hats off to CC for being a great teammate and having to go through so much with injury. But like the all we got, all we need was it's a staple to who we trying to be as a team and who we want our culture to be. We can't help the ones that's not here, which is unfortunate, but we can help who is. And be present about that and not disrespect the game because, I would like to think that CC, Aries, Sid would want to play and be in our shoes. And so I think the all we got, all we need is just, it's kind of like a respect thing, but to put it in the air that we all we got and we all we need because...
And instead of giving some generic answer about team unity, she dropped a bomb that nobody saw coming. She admitted that her whole we all we got, we all we need mantra started specifically when Caitlin Clark got injured. Not when the team was struggling, not during a losing streak, but right when their biggest star went down. The interviewer asked her directly about this catchphrase that teammates had mentioned, and Mitchell's response was something else entirely.
I don't know if she's dissing Caitlin Clark, but a lot of people is insinuating that. Now, we have seen time and time again members of her family even take shots at Caitlin Clark. Now, those are facts.
She said she started saying, we all we got, we all we need, and then casually mentioned it might have been after somebody got hurt. Then she dropped the real kicker. It was early on when CC got hurt, and she felt it was deflating for people to see their energy. But wait, there's more. Mitchell didn't just admit to the timing. She basically confirmed that her motivational speech was born out of Clark being sidelined.
Kelsey, through all the ups and downs of this season, and I know you have bigger goals in mind, but the team ensured a 500 finish, back-to-back years doing that.
It's a big deal.
She talked about how hard it was for people to see them and their energy without Clark on the court. The subtext was crystal clear. When Clark was gone, Mitchell felt like the team needed to prove they didn't need her. This isn't just some innocent team building exercise. The context makes everything worse. Mitchell has been with the Fever through their worst seasons. She's watched this franchise struggle for relevance, fight for attendance, and barely register on national television. Then Clark shows up, and suddenly everything changes overnight. Think about what that really means for someone who's been grinding in obscurity for years. Mitchell averaged over 17 points per game last season, putting up solid numbers while the Fever wallowed near the bottom of the standings. Nobody cared. Nobody was talking about Kelsey Mitchell highlights or buying her jersey. The Fever were just another small market team that casual fans forgot existed. Then boom, Caitlin Clark gets drafted, and suddenly the entire WNBA landscape shifts. Games are selling out, television ratings are through the roof, social media is buzzing about Indiana Fever basketball for the first time in forever.
Everything that this team has gone through this year, and the fact that you guys, I think, are 1 win away from securing a playoff spot, like what did it take to kind of stay the course, and what does that mean to just at least get that one thing kind of checked off?
It's definitely a stepping stone in the right direction. I think considering where this organization has been and some of the great players that's come through it, we got to look at this, like I said, for a winning moment tonight. It doesn't happen a lot, and where we've been at, you guys know what it's been like the last couple of years here, and so to see the tables kind of turn, it works in our favor, and I think that we deserve it from a standpoint of we put the work in to be here, and so I like to think that you guys gonna keep sticking with us too, because you guys deserve it. In order to capture good content and all that, you got to win, and so. I think it goes together as far as both sides, but I think it's definitely important for us to kind of bask in it for a little bit because I remember where this group was.
And it's not because of Mitchell's scoring. It's all about the rookie who hasn't even played a full season yet. Now picture this scenario. You're Mitchell watching your new teammate get all the attention you've been working toward for years. Then she gets hurt, and instead of rallying around her, your first instinct is to create a mantra that essentially says the team doesn't need her anyway. That's not leadership, that's resentment wrapped in motivational speak. The most damaging part of Mitchell's admission wasn't just the timing, it was how she framed the whole situation. She talked about how deflating Clark's injury was, but not because they lost a key player. She made it sound like the deflation came from people not being able to see the rest of the team's energy and contributions.
Video on Kelsey Mitchell, I believe her sister, her mom, her dad, everybody was firing shots at pretty much the team and Kayla Clark. That was about a month or two ago. But now Kelsey Mitchell did a press conference and she said some things, guys, and a lot of fans is most definitely taking heed to it.
Translation, she was frustrated that Clark's absence meant less spotlight on everyone else. But here's where things get really spicy. The timing of Mitchell's mantra wasn't just bad, it was catastrophically tone deaf. Clark didn't just twist an ankle during practice. She was dealing with a significant injury that had fans genuinely worried about her rookie season. This was supposed to be her moment to shine after all the college hype, and instead she was stuck on the sidelines watching her new team struggle. Any decent teammate would have used that moment to show support. Maybe something about playing harder for their injured star, or how they needed to step up until she got healthy. Instead, Mitchell chose that exact moment to start preaching about how the team was complete without Clark. The optics couldn't have been worse if she tried. Let's break down what really happened here. Clark goes down with an injury early in the season. The Fever are already dealing with the pressure of living up to massive expectations. Fans who bought tickets specifically to see the rookie sensation are now wondering if they wasted their money. And Mitchell's response is to basically tell everyone that Clark's absence doesn't matter because they're fine without her. The interview revealed something even more telling about Mitchell's mindset. She mentioned that it was hard for people to see their energy and what they brought to the table as a team. Notice how she didn't say it was hard because they lost a talented player. She didn't mention missing Clark's basketball skills or leadership potential. The focus was entirely on how Clark's injury affected other people's perception of the remaining players. That's not teammate talk, that's competitor talk. Mitchell wasn't worried about Clark's health or the team's championship chances. She was worried about getting overshadowed even when Clark wasn't playing. That's the kind of thinking that creates toxic locker room situations and destroys team chemistry before it can even develop. The whole situation gets worse when you consider what Clark was going through personally. She's dealing with the pressure of being the #1 draft pick. She's trying to prove she belongs in professional basketball after dominating college. She's adjusting to a new city, new teammates, and a completely different level of competition. And while she's handling all that stress plus a physical injury, her veteran teammate is essentially campaigning for why the team doesn't need her. Not only that, but Mitchell's timing suggests she saw Clark's injury as an opportunity rather than a setback. Instead of viewing it as a chance to mentor a young player or help ease the transition to professional basketball, she treated it as her moment to reclaim some spotlight. That's exactly the opposite of what veteran leadership should look like. The phrase, "we all we got, we all we need," sounds innocent enough on the surface. Teams use similar rallying cries all the time when dealing with injuries or adversity, but context matters, and Mitchell's context was specifically about proving they didn't need their most famous player. She could have chosen any other moment to introduce this mantra, but she picked the one time that would make it seem like shade toward Clark. Here's the really damaging part. Mitchell didn't just keep these thoughts private. She made it into a public team slogan that other players started repeating. That means she was actively spreading the narrative that Clark was expendable, and she got her teammates to buy into it. That's not accidental pettiness. That's calculated undermining. The interview also revealed how Mitchell viewed Clark's impact on the team. She gave Clark credit for being a great teammate and acknowledged she went through a lot with the injury. But then she immediately pivoted to talking about how the team needed to focus on who was present and available. The backhanded compliment was obvious to anyone paying attention. Now here's the plot twist that makes everything 10 times worse. This isn't Mitchell's first rodeo when it comes to Caitlin Clark drama. Her family has been throwing digital haymakers at Clark for months, and the internet never forgets. We're talking about a pattern of behavior that goes way deeper than one poorly timed motivational speech. Mitchell's relatives were all over social media taking shots at Clark during her rookie season. Twitter fingers were flying with subtle digs, not so subtle shade, and enough passive-aggressive energy to power a small city. These weren't random fans talking trash. These were people directly connected to Clark's own teammate. The family was basically running a hate campaign while Mitchell was supposed to be building chemistry with the same player they were targeting. But wait, it gets juicier. The social media drama started almost immediately after Clark got drafted. While most of the basketball world was celebrating the arrival of a generational talent, the Mitchell family seemed to have other ideas. Comments about Clark getting too much attention, posts questioning whether she deserved all the hype, retweets of articles that criticized her game or her attitude. This wasn't just typical fan rivalry between different college programs. This was targeted, consistent, and obviously coordinated. Family members don't just randomly decide to hate on their relative's teammate unless there's some serious behind-the-scenes tension brewing. The social media trail painted a clear picture of resentment that was building long before Mitchell's hot mic moment. Let's talk about what this really means. When your family is publicly trashing your teammate, one of two things is happening. Either you're completely unaware of what they're doing, which makes you look out of touch and unprofessional, or you know exactly what they're doing and you're okay with it, which makes you look petty and jealous. Neither option is a good look for someone trying to be a veteran leader. The timing of the family's social media attacks was particularly brutal. They ramped up their criticism right when Clark was dealing with the most pressure. New team, new league, massive expectations, and constant media scrutiny. Instead of getting support from her teammates' inner circle, she was getting attacked by people who had never even met her. Not only that, but the family drama created a toxic environment that went way beyond basketball. Clark couldn't even scroll through social media without potentially seeing negative comments from people connected to her own teammate. That's the kind of psychological warfare that destroys team chemistry and makes players want to request trades. The worst part about the family situation is how it reflected on Mitchell's character. Professional athletes deal with criticism from fans, media, and opposing players all the time. That comes with the territory. But when your own teammate's family is leading the charge against you, that's a completely different level of disrespect and betrayal. Mitchell never publicly told her family to back off. She never made any statements distancing herself from their comments. She basically let them continue their campaign while she maintained plausible deniability about not being directly involved. That's coward behavior disguised as staying above the fray. Here's where the family connection becomes really damaging. Clark's supporters started connecting the dots between the social media attacks and Mitchell's attitude during interviews and games. Every time Mitchell seemed dismissive or cold toward Clark, fans remembered the family's online behavior. The hot mic admission just confirmed what people were already suspecting about the real dynamics between these teammates. The social media evidence created a paper trail that's impossible to deny. Screenshots, archived tweets, and saved posts all tell the same story. The Mitchell family had a problem with Caitlin Clark from day one. This wasn't about basketball performance or team chemistry. This was personal animosity that started before Clark even played her first professional game. But here's the kicker that nobody saw coming. Some of the family's social media attacks happened during games when Clark was actually playing well and helping the team win. They weren't just criticizing her during struggles. They were finding ways to tear her down even when she was succeeding. That level of hatred goes beyond normal teammate rivalry into something much more toxic and destructive. The family drama also showed how Mitchell's inner circle viewed Clark's success. Instead of being happy that their relative's team was finally getting national attention and respect, they seemed threatened by it. They acted like Clark's success was somehow taking something away from Mitchell, which revealed a zero-sum mentality that's poisonous for any team sport. Let's rewind to understand just how massive Clark's impact really was. Before she arrived, Indiana Fever games were basically basketball's equivalent of background noise. Empty arenas, forgettable performances, and a franchise that most casual fans couldn't even locate on a map. Mitchell was putting up decent numbers in complete anonymity, while the organization slowly faded into irrelevance. The attendance numbers tell the whole brutal story. Fever games were drawing crowds that looked like high school basketball tournaments. Season ticket holders holders could practically stretch out across entire sections. Local sports talk radio barely mentioned the team unless they were discussing another disappointing loss. This was Mitchell's reality for years, playing solid basketball that nobody cared enough to watch. Then Caitlin Clark gets drafted, and everything changes overnight in the most dramatic way possible. Suddenly, Fever games are the hottest ticket in town. Arenas are selling out before Clark even touches the court. People are camping out for merchandise. Social media is buzzing about Indiana basketball for the first time since the Pacers' glory days. But here's what really had to sting for Mitchell. Clark wasn't even playing particularly amazing basketball early in her rookie season. She was clearly talented, but she was also clearly adjusting to the professional level, yet fans were still showing up in droves just to see her attempt shots and make passes. Meanwhile, Mitchell had been perfecting her craft for years and never generated that kind of excitement. The television ratings explosion was even more ridiculous. Games featuring Clark were pulling numbers that the WNBA hadn't seen in decades. Networks were scrambling to broadcast more Fever games. Highlight shows that used to barely mention women's basketball were suddenly dedicating entire segments to Clark's performances. The entire league was benefiting from one player's drawing power. Not only that, but the merchandising boom was absolutely insane. Clark's jersey sales were breaking records before she played her first professional game. Fans were buying Fever gear just because of the Clark connection. The team store went from having clearance sales to struggling to keep popular items in stock. That's the kind of financial impact that transforms entire franchises. If you're enjoying this deep dive into WNBA drama and want to see more behind the scenes breakdowns of what's really happening in professional sports, smash that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what other stories you want me to investigate next.